Hello, Judy.
Hey, Lisa. It's been a whole week. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good, good, good. So today we want to go a little bit, we want to put our mirrors up today.
You think? Yes.
Yeah. And eh, we want to look at how our writing can actually be a mirror. And what I like to say is writing can be a window into the soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about why we want to do that.
Okay. When we were talking about what we wanted to get into today, we really were kind of exploring why do you and I like to journal write, and
Mhm.
why do we think people should journal write? And I was talking a lot about the coaching that I've been doing with people and
Mhm.
what the role of coaching is, and how writing in a journal is similar to life coaching.
Mhm.
Um, when I, as a life coach, meet with somebody and talk with them, my goal is to be a mirror and to show them their thoughts, to show them their brain. And the way
Mhm.
that I do that as a coach is I sit down and, first of all, I simply hold space for that person, because so often people don't take the time.
Oh,
People
their minds
don't
get all screwed
journal
up. Mhm.
and explore their thoughts. They
Mhm.
don't take the time for themselves to get their ideas out, to be able to even look at them. So, my goal is to hold the space and then to speak back to the person what I hear them saying, to
Mhm.
show a person their thoughts,
Mhm.
and to do it really with an air of curiosity, not like, oh, that's a really bad thought, or oh, that's a really good thought.
No
Really,
judgment.
no judgment, without judgment. And then to ask that person, you know, where do you want to go with this? What do you think about this? What's coming up for you? Um, what if y- all the different questions that are available to a coach? And I
Mhm.
think that when you're writing in a journal, it is a form of, it can be a tool for self-awareness.
Mhm.
Some people have called it self-coaching, and I definitely agree with that.
Mhm. Yeah, we were talking earlier, and I said it can actually. I understand the value of therapists. I've been in therapy years
Mhm,
back,
mhm.
but it can almost be like a mini therapy session because for me, sometimes I write something out and I read it back and I had no idea that those thoughts were in my mind. Have you ever had that happen?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah, we
Mhm.
sit down and there's maybe something we want to write about, maybe an event that happened or a memory that we want to explore more deeply, and we don't really know, where we're going to go with this. But as
Mhm.
soon as we sit down, it's like the pen takes over. And
Yeah, yeah, and it surprised me at first, years back when you and I started in those restaurants when we were working together at the furniture store. But now eh, I wouldn't say it's an expectation, but it's a common occurrence. So
Mhm,
it's not a
mhm,
surprise anymore.
mhm,
And I think that reflection on ourselves, I'm not saying go backwards, live in the past. I'm saying reflect on what you're dealing with today.
yes, yes. And I think there are like parts to how to do that effectively.
Uh-huh.
And I think the steps that I kind of want to talk through here
Mm-hmm.
are, when you want to use your journaling, or there's a day that something's going on in your life, there are some steps that you can take to dig a little bit more deeply into what's going on and what's coming up for you. And
Mm-hmm.
that is really by writing what's going on. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about that? And then what's that what are you doing with that information? What are you doing
Mm-hmm.
with those thoughts and feelings? So you can kind of look at it objectively instead of just being blown around by the wind.
Or even where do you want to go with those feelings? Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
exactly. Those are great questions.
So, for
Um,
example, to kind of start out here, what's going on? I think you can do that in a couple of different ways. When you're
mhm,
writing in a journal, you can write about things that are currently going on,
mm,
things that, recent events, whether, there's a coworker that, you work with on a daily basis that has that lemon pucker mouth that I've recently talked about. Um, I currently work with a person who did just the other day somebody said, "Oh, you mean she looks like." Were you there?
I was. Who did she say it looked like? Oh my goodness, my mind. I can't think. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
She was a very puckery woman. The word pucker, just that pierced lips, the small
It was Michelle that said it, and it
yeah.
was it a teacher?
No, it wasn't a teacher. It was like somebody famous.
Hmm. I because it might have been an actor, and I don't know actors very well, so I wouldn't know the
Okay.
name. Can't help
Anyway,
you.
it kind of a busybody kind of small statured, um, yeah, with glasses, just very, I guess the word would be just
Closed-minded.
a negative. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who you're never going to be able to please this person.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe you want to write about a current event or circumstance in your life that's going on. Or you could also look at something from ancient history, something from your childhood, or something, a memory that you want to explore more deeply.
Mm-hmm. Or something that you're finding that's repeating itself. I
Mhm.
think those can be valuable. If you see the same thing occurring over and again, that mirror becomes incredibly important because I've always tried to tell myself if somebody's treating me poorly, look in the mirror.
Mm.
How am
And
I
that's
treating
one of the
them?
reasons why I stayed married to Tom for so long, my first
Mm-hmm.
husband, was because I had heard that statement that,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't deal with your problems now in your relationship, you're just doomed to repeat that event, that circumstance, that habit in your next relationship. And that's the last
Exactly.
thing that I wanted to do, was
Right.
to move into a new relationship with my old baggage.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that was very wise. And I think it helped you a lot more than it helped Tom, unfortunately. I'm just
So
saying.
So, after in your writing, you kind of write down what is or was going on. I think the next step is to really write down what you think about that event. What are
Or how
your
you feel
thoughts?
about it.
Well,
What do
that's
you
the next part. That's the
That's the
next
next part.
part.
Okay, so
Yeah.
think first and feel second.
And I think those
Okay?
are two distinct things. When
Yes,
you
they are.
talk about, thinking about an event or a circumstance or something that's currently going on, you know, just stating the facts is good, but your thoughts are really what give it its depth and really
Mhm.
kind of give you the direction for how 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 it affects you. Because
Mhm.
circumstances and events, a woman with the puckery lips, she's pretty neutral actually. Her by
Mhm.
herself, and the way she talks and deals in this company is the way it is. Some
Mhm.
people find her annoying, some people find her very productive and a great worker,
Mhm.
She's got
Mhm.
other qualities like predictability. She is always there. She is there on time. She can count on her. So just because there are some things that maybe don't appeal, there are other qualities that other people might find more valuable in her than her personality as a coworker,
Her quirks.
her quirks. Yes.
All got those.
So it's really the thoughts about what's going on that give you the juice to work with in
Mhm.
terms of where you're going to go next.
Okay, I can understand that. And then, yeah, the where do you want to go with that, I think, is critically important. And I think too often, people will say, well, I'm just telling, they'll speak this and they'll say, well, I'm just telling it to you. Okay, well, as you're telling it to me, you're hearing it yourself. Then where do you want to go with this? What do you want to do next? What does that mean for you?
Yes.
And
I think what it means is going to also be governed by how it makes you feel. And that is the next step in the evaluation process, or in taking a memory or an event to the next level, in learning from it, growing from it, moving on from it, or moving on with it. Because I think, and you and I talked about this just briefly before this podcast, we do, if not everything, so many things in our life from the viewpoint of how we want to feel. So the example that I used was, you don't want a car, a particular, maybe an expensive car, because it's the smartest thing for you to have. For example, I always wanted a convertible. Okay. When I was a kid, there was a commercial of a woman driving in what's the name of the car?
Remember? An MG?
An MG, a little MG, through these rolling hills of somewhere with an old English sheepdog in her side passenger seat. And I can remember ever since then, it was like, I wanted a convertible. Now, here in Wisconsin, a convertible isn't probably the most practical car on the planet.
Do you think?
Yeah, you're not. I mean, first of all, a convertible, it looks great. It feels like freedom. It feels, it's sporty. Now, I'm getting into the feelings here. Are you following this? You feel young. You feel adventurous. You don't think about the fact that your hair is going to be a disaster when you get out of this convertible, right? You don't think about the taking up and down the roof, or if you've got a hard top, taking that on and off, and organizing somebody to come over and help you with the details of that.
Or if you're out having a nice, wonderful drive and all of a sudden it starts raining, you're going to get wet.
So, the people say, I want a convertible, because I like that kind of car. No, you want a convertible because of the way it's going to make you perceive, it's going to make you feel.
That's right.
Right?
That's absolutely right.
Why do men going through their midlife crisis want to buy a red Corvette? Because it's going to make them feel
young,
sexy.
Yeah. Exciting,
attractive, like they've got the world by the ass, like they've achieved something, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that the connotations that different things in our communities, give us or develop in our brains?
Sure, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, really identifying those feelings, and feelings are not easy to identify. I found that out when we were going through some family therapy a couple of years ago. We had to just even name feelings, like come up with as many names of feelings as we could come up with. Happy, sad, angry. It was crazy. Getting into the nuances of different feelings was not as easy as it sounds.
No, I agree. Because you have to, before you can name them, you have to recognize them. And before you reflect on them and really think them through or write them down, you really don't know.
Yeah, because I think, when was the last time you received any education on feelings?
I don't think ever. Well, you know me, I'm an avid reader, so I've read a lot about feelings, but active education, no, not so much, you know. Um, and I think when we can get away with it, a lot of times we deny our feelings, but you
Yes.
can't deny things when you're writing it down because it's right there in black and white. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I didn't say that," or "That's not what I meant"?
That's not what I
Well,
meant.
if you write it down, it's right there.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you said. If you didn't mean it, then you maybe need to explain that. But, you know, yeah, if your feeling isn't something that you feel good about, you may try to, if you just articulate it, it doesn't give
Have
it
the depth. It
the
doesn't have the
strength. Yeah,
impact.
exactly.
Yeah. And so then the next thing. So I think it's really fun and valuable in our writing sometime to do this it's I guess what we're kind of getting into is we're getting into a strategy for self-awareness. And it starts out with, talking about a situation or a memory of what's going on. Then what are the thoughts about that event? Talking about how it makes you feel, and then kind of doing a little exploration of, so what do I do? What do I do when this kind of thing happens? What are my responses? Or what are the things that I'm not doing? I think that can also give us a real interesting nuance into how we operate as people, and what how this body, how we respond and react to things that might be surprising.
Well, and I think that goes back to the old saying that we can't help the things that
Mm.
happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
can't really do anything about them. They are, and
Right.
they are going to happen. But what we can do is we can control the way we respond to them,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and that actually, the way we respond to them will, in my opinion, and you have to correct me as a coach, that sets the consequences. You know, the reaction to what happened.
Well, I think we don't necessarily use the what am I doing to course correct. I think it goes back even farther. I think it goes back to, okay, here's what's going on. Here are my thoughts. Here's how I feel about it. Here's how, I react and respond to it. How do I want to think about this? How do I want to feel about this? And that's the place where the course correction can happen. It's like,
Okay.
with me talking about that coworker with the lemon pucker mouth,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at her and think she is really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can look at her and say, you know, you do you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to do me. And it's all good.
Or
And
you
when
can
she,
say, boy, she sure is good at showing up every day on time. And you can
Mhm,
look at the 80% instead of the 20% that
mhm.
all of us have it.
Or I can choose to focus on the 20% and ignore the 80%.
Yeah,
Right?
you can do that. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't
And
like that person. Well, if they really got into why they didn't like them,
mhm.
you know, they would have a very small percentage based on the things that maybe are good things about that person.
Or yeah. So it's definitely being able to look at a situation and alter your perception in a meaningful and mindful way. Right?
Well said. I agree. 100%.
Oh, so, and I mean, this is fun, and it's a little, I think it's something valuable that you can do in journaling. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also something you can do like when I get together with you and coach you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I received my coaching certification a little over a year ago now. And
Mm-hmm.
I have been having so much fun coaching people on exactly this kind of stuff.
And you're
And
so good at it. You're really good at it. You know, as a person who's received your coaching, I'm amazed because I feel that I have a good sense of self-awareness.
mm,
But when we coach together, something always comes out that somehow got buried in the minutia
Some
in
kind
the
of click
brain.
happens where a coach is the mirror is that much clearer, I suppose.
You got the Windex out and scrubbed it up a little bit. We've all got mirrors like that.
Call me the Windex coach. Yeah, yeah,
There you
exactly.
go. Clear up that mirror. I think that's exactly right. And I think that's the real value of coaching, is that it digs just enough deeper that you can improve on that reflection.
And what's really exciting is I think people who use journaling are so open to coaching and so open to using the tools to reflect on their lives and look at what's going on, to have this be the best experience it can be, to live the lives we want to live.
Well, and when you're receiving coaching, I think you start at a different place. You don't have to start at the beginning, because you've already done the journaling, you've already done the writing, you've already looked at yourself, in these different areas. And so you can start at a point where you're more open to receiving your own feelings that are exposed. Does that make sense? I'm kind of stretching here.
Yeah,
but
what you're saying, I guess, in a nutshell, is you've already had a little bit of practice in, looking at your life and not being so attached to your initial perception. You're more open to going, I never thought of it that way before.
Who knew?
Who'd have thunk?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
so
you know what?
really...
That's a good feeling. I mean, it's a good feeling. It's like when you learn something about yourself, that's the best of anything, because then you're free to say, okay, but I like that about myself. I'm going to keep it. Or you can say, with just a little tweak, I could look at things just a bit differently. That's my choice.
Yes, yes. And so you can do that through using journaling as a coaching tool for yourself. And, or maybe you want to get together with me and get coached.
Hey, I vote for that. It's a great experience.
So yeah, it's been really fun. I've done so much coaching that has been rewarding to see the changes in people, and just it's so much fun being a coach. It was so exciting to find the next step in my life journey that felt so right on target. I was one of those people that I've written about this before. I never knew what I wanted to be or do when I grew up. And when I discovered life coaching, it was like all the bells and whistles went off. And I found the thing that I could do that utilized the skills that I had and moved me forward in a way that just felt so perfect.
Well, and what's the old saying? If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that is very valid. I think that's very valid. So yeah. Okay.
So Judy, I think we're going to wrap things up here.
I was going to say, I think we're just about at that point. It feels right.
It does. So right now we are in the process of getting together on a regular basis every morning at 6 o'clock and doing our 30-day journaling journey. That has been so much fun. So if our listeners haven't, or watchers, since this is on YouTube also, if you haven't gone to our YouTube channel, Sidetracked Sisters, and been a part of our 30-day journaling journey, the challenge, I definitely recommend you doing that.
Tune in. It doesn't have to be the whole 30 days. I mean, at this point, we're on day 17 we did today. So, we're a little, 2 days past half, but you still are going to find value just in doing the last part. So,
or if you want to get coached, just send me a message in DM me, direct message me, and we can get together and we can talk about, I can kind of walk you through a coaching session and show you what coaching's like, see if it's a good fit, and we can move on from there. That's would be fun too.
I love it.
Awesome.
Good words for thought. So
Cool. Okay. Love you, Judy.
love
We'll
you too,
see
Lisa.
you next week.
See you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.